Namaste, my brothers and sisters, and welcome to Namaste Today in the Zodiac Weather. My name is Christopher Witecki. I am the Sensei to Sirius Joy. Thank you so much for joining me this weekend. This is a special weekend two-day Namaste Today for Saturday and Sunday, October 18th and 19th, 2014, just in case someone has gone in a time capsule and come back to this YouTube video. Well, we're going to have a dynamic weekend. We are basically wrapping up our focus in the Sun in Libra, which is wrapping up our focus in how we intend to give and receive on Earth. That's what the Sun in Libra is about, how humans give and receive. If you're just joining us, welcome to Namaste Today. The Step 6 energy, or the Libra energy, is the part of the soul that does nothing but monitor the giving and receiving, usually of love, but also it can monitor the giving and receiving of drugs, money, anything you want. This consciousness is constantly weighing back and forth, constantly comparing back and forth. This is our Libra energy, and this is what makes us into artists. So as we are wrapping up the Sun in Libra, we are in fact wrapping up our inner policy for giving and receiving. It begins with our inner policy to give and receive to ourselves, which I call the me ridge, and then it works into how we give and receive in the moment, how open and dynamic are you, and then it moves into how we give and receive in the long term with marriage and partnerships. And so now as we move into these final steps of the Sun in Libra, we're putting the final steps together of our marriage and partnerships, but we're also putting the mastery of our mirage and the way we give and receive to ourselves. So where does that bring us this weekend? Well, I'm going to first report on Step 25, Saturday. Step 25 is really the active step through the whole weekend. We're going to have Step 25 on Saturday and Step 26 on Sunday. But really, when you're doing your Step 26, you're holding on to Step 25 in the background. So to me, Step 25 is very, very important, and we're going to talk about it, the Holy Spirit. Step 25 is actually the way we connect to the Holy Spirit. The quantum intention is 7. We'll talk about that. But when our feelings, 2, and our thoughts, 5, are in alignment, we log in the Spirit almost automatically. The Holy Spirit just opens automatically. And a day like a Step 25 day is often a very foggy day, a very cloudy day. You're in your own kind of funk. And technically, between 25 and 26, we'll talk about this in today's Sensei Sunrise and today's Gong, we'll talk about it. But in essence, one leads directly to the other. As soon as you come to clarity in 25, you're ready for 26. So technically, this video applies to you Sunday morning, Saturday night, wherever your consciousness is at this moment. But before we dive into manifesting in the Step 25, let's take a minute to tame our brain, shall we, with the phrase of the day. I am ready to observe that which is obscure. You like that? I am ready to observe that which is obscure. So we're giving our brain a task today. We're saying, smartass, I would like you, this is the king talking, I would like you to observe what is obscure. In other words, I want my mind to look for the weird thing that's not normally looked at, and to let the other rhetoric just go for today. The smartass can fill you with gossip tomorrow if it wants. You know, you've got your whole life together, you and that smartass brain of yours. But today, we're trying to get to the obscure. We're trying to get to that which is hidden beneath the seams, that which is in the fog behind the crops there, the crops that we've been growing and manifesting all season long. But there's something we can't see. So we want to train the brain to look for the obscure. I am ready to observe that which is obscure. And this is the phrase you might say to yourself if you're, I don't know about you, but my mind gets into ruts where it's like, here we go, thinking the same bus, same person, same this, same that. And my brain gets into this like rut. And that would be a day today when I'd say, you know what, I'm ready to observe that which is obscure. That's what we want to look at today, what we don't normally look at. So the serious step of the day on Saturday is Step 25. The step on Sunday is Step 26. Basically, they add to a 7 and an 8, which is on Saturday, we check in with God, Step 7, I sense. On Sunday, we decide, But because this is the final Saturn moment in the Libra transit, it will not just be a decision, it's a commitment. And I'll be talking about in your zodiac weather, where each of the 12 signs will be making a commitment, basically with yourself on Sunday, and we roll it out Monday and Tuesday. Now, the moon over the weekend is in Virgo, so feelings are easily struck by small details or information. Our emotions can get hung up on something very small and overwhelmed by something small. Now, this emotional energy in Virgo is not meant to constantly get your sweaters stuck on things, like, right? It's actually meant to get your emotions stuck on the things we want to manifest, to get our emotions stuck on the details that are important to us. So the management of your feelings in Virgo is to let go what you really don't care about, knowing that everything is sticking to you emotionally. Now, in tonight's sky, Saturday will be a funky night. It's going to be a funky night, maybe good for some disco or funk. I wouldn't mind going dancing. It's a good time to dance. But Sunday will be really sharp. So if you're planning any sort of special event, you're probably sharper on Sunday. In fact, it's almost like the days are reversed this weekend. Sunday is the spiritual day. Saturday is like the go get things done day. Now let's look at the chakras.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Looking at the chakras, for starters, it's all based on our feelings in the 20s and above. And like I said in step 25, it is how I feel and how I think coming together. So getting your emotions or third chakra in line is super important. And I'm even learning now, this means that you want to feel good. That means you've eaten, you've slept. The emotional field is littered with all the states of awareness as information. So sometimes we don't feel good because of the body. Sometimes we don't feel good because of the thoughts that have been beating us up. And the point is, we got to feel good. The baby's got to feel good first, period. End of story. That is how you raise a good human on earth. The emotional field is so powerful, it must be catered to. So first, feel and feel good. Then, where am I? Did I skip a step here? No, I didn't. Okay. So then, basically, we're adding step 6, and I know why I did this. This is step 6 is what we're getting to. We're getting to a point where we can give and receive easily and freely. That's going to happen tomorrow. So some of the Saturday energy is, why can't I open up? And Sunday is like, okay, I know, and therefore I will. So we are clearing our emotional field so we can open up for business, give and receive, which is begun always with the word. And what's super important to know is we are trying to give and receive here in the micro moment, Saturday and Sunday, but in the macro, this will change how we give and receive, probably not just for this year, but probably for a few years. And I'll explain why in the Sensei Sunrise. But first, let's take a look at the setup God has set for us here in the Planet Soup. What does God have cooking up there in the stars? Well, over the weekend, we are wrapping up the sun in Libra, which is giving and receiving on Earth. That plays out in relationships, business, everything. And on Saturday, it is step 25. On Sunday, step 26. So this is a two-part kind of story. And like I mentioned earlier, I believe one leads to the other. Let's look at the party going on, though, with the stellium. On the left, we have Mercury, then Venus, then the Sun. Each are color-coded by the chakras they light up. So you can see on Saturday, our crown chakra is quite lit up. We are exploring, step 3. So we are learning. Our mind is learning on Saturday, step 3. And our heart, 7, is connecting to God. Where we are giving and receiving, that's Venus. Venus is where we actually give and receive right now. And we're working to increase our Venus, if you want to say. We all want bigger Venuses. We all want to get a bigger increase of Sirius joy coming over the border. So where is Venus in that capacity? Well, Venus is focused on the mind. So isn't that amazing? So Venus is saying, well, let's first start with the mind. So on Saturday, we're really trying to open up with giving and receiving in our minds. That's really the essence of what the architecture is here. And why are we opening up to our minds? So we can connect to Creator. That's the 7. And in the Sensei Sunrise, I'll talk about why. Now, this is Sunday's stellium. Here's Saturday. There's Sunday. So on Sunday, it shifts. For one, our mind retrogrades now to think about our feelings. So our thoughts are on our feelings on Sunday. All right? And so we're thinking about our feelings, and that might be because we're contemplating this decision or commitment we're about to make. Venus goes purebred, step 24. So on the day of making a decision, Sunday, or making a commitment is really what it's about on Sunday, the giving and receiving planet goes to pure giving and receiving. Isn't that amazing? Really giving us the free will to make a pure choice. Venus not directing the current of energy, but pure, turn up the volume, right? Now the moon is in Virgo, and technically this means that we heal our emotions. And what I was describing a little earlier is how we heal our emotions. One of the important things about moon in Virgo is that we stick to certain details. Our emotions are stuck on certain details. Right? So if you have a little kid at home who's like stuck on the fact that it's raining outside and he can't go outside to play, as a little kid, his emotions are stuck on that. Now, as a parent, you try to redirect those emotions and get him stuck on Legos, get him stuck on making brownies with mommy, get him stuck on all sorts of other things. So this is what that weekend is. You may find yourself just overreacting and stuck to something, and you have to unstick yourself and then stick yourself to the appropriate behavior, and that is the management of Virgo. Ironically, that heals you, right? Yay! And yay because we are going to have a solar eclipse this coming Thursday. And what that means is that whatever spiritual work you do right now, my friend, will be knocked out of the park energetically. So it's like God's going to put in a big tidal wave. So wherever your spiritual surfboard is on Thursday, a wave is coming in. And some people do get knocked down because they're just not ready at this stage. But we're at the very end of Libra and the very beginning of Scorpio. So if you're not ready by now, my friend, I'm just saying. And today, Saturday, is the final day of the multi-grand trine. We have been growing passionately for a long time underneath the seams. Mars is right along with the Sun at step 24 and then step 25 through the weekend, but this is the last time it's with what we call orb of the grand trine. So we literally, with the grand trine in fire, if you've been watching me all month, you've been watching this grand trine, and isn't it funny? It goes all the way up to the commitment, and then it stops. I swear to God, you can see the intelligence of God's soup, can't you? So Uranus is trying to get us to think differently. Jupiter is saying, hey, let's act on what our heart wants like now. And Mars is saying, off we go into the wild blue yonder. And the wild blue yonder is basically a philosophy, a direction. We don't have experience in this, but we believe we can pull it off. And that's basically how I describe the trine. So this brings us to the Sensei sunrise. Now actually, you might wonder, what does he do when he closes his eyes? Well, I actually get back in touch with my feelings. The step 2. I always have to get back in touch with my feelings. Because I'm a person, for whatever reason, that abandons my feelings all the time. And goes running off to do this and running off to do that. And it's funny, I have abandonment issues. And the reason why I have abandonment issues is because my soul's in the habit of abandoning my emotions. Therefore, I draw on people who abandon me, right? By law of attraction. So I have to say, today, as we step into these final degrees of making a commitment in Libra, all right, there is a slide that was missing. My other self was like, we missed a slide. And the slide I was missing there, the final slide, I jumped to Sensei Sunrise a little too quickly there, is Saturn at 22 degrees. So I'll just say it right here, right now. With Saturn at 22 degrees Scorpio for the first time since 1985, we are setting an emotional precedent in the next week that we will likely keep for 30 years. 30 years. The last time we set this emotional precedent was 85, 86. And it was, I've said it already this month, it's the bringing down of the Berlin Wall, the change of the Cold War, the opening up to the Clinton era, which would be around the corner. It's that turn. And we're making that same turn. Incidentally, Clinton elected in the United States on the Saturn Sagittarius energy. New philosophy coming into light. So we're making a change in our emotional comfort zones, which will lead to a new philosophy that we live by. That's where Mars is going, let's try this philosophy. We don't know if it's going to work. The last time we tried it was the late 80s, 85, 86, really 85 to 88. And that's when our philosophies changed, actually. We were with Bush when we changed our philosophy. Isn't it funny how we were under a rocky bush, and that makes us think differently inside of ourselves? So a lot of times things don't go the way you want so that you can realize they're not going the way you want. But let's bring us down to today's Sensei Sunrise and how this all stacks up. On Saturn Day, we are basically in meditation all day. It's a very foggy day there in the woods. We're not quite sure what's back there, and we're going to sense it out. So you definitely want to show up to your days, both Saturday and Sunday, feeling emotionally grounded first and protecting your emotions in your world. And what you do is you just say to the universe, hey, make sure this doesn't happen, that doesn't happen. I don't want to feel this way, I want to feel that way. All right? Then today we bring in our thoughts. And so basically you say to your mind, hey mind, listen for the obscure. Listen for the thing that we don't normally hear. Listen for the words we don't normally hear. Basically, if you want to give your mind a job, it's very busy in meditation. It's busy listening for the obscure, which means when a non-obscure comes out, it throws it over its shoulder right away, right? This brings us to I sense. And this really opens up our highest sense of ourselves. So today, because we're in step 25, because we're on top of the conscious mountain of Libra, we're listening in our sensory perception for whatever it is that we don't normally listen for. Okay? And you want to be careful not to react. Like, this is where you have to be mindful of yourself to listen for the obscure, because when the obscure comes in the door, you know, it might not be what the rest of you wants to hear. A lot of my clients that I personally coach, and I'm a personal sensei to, they, you know, the biggest problem they have is they open up psychically, no problem. It's the information they get that they didn't want to hear. So today you got to be open and ready to receive to the obscure. And when it comes, you don't want to knock it out of the park. You don't want your mind to get off track. You want to keep your mind to keep listening and keep paying attention for that obscure. What we're doing is we're making sure that our current trajectory of what we're manifesting this month is good, that God is on our side, that it makes sense. It makes a sense. And quite often, final details of my personal plans come in at this very last hour. I had to understand and get so many things before I could get there. So, moving on to Sunday, we then make a decision. And the decision consciousness is broken up, and it may be before Sunday that you're ready for a decision. That's why I want to bring this up. So again, when you're in that state of feeling and protecting your feelings, so that when feelings come in, you know what's yours and you know what's not yours. That's why we put the two in the boundary up. Separate our passion from the world so we don't get confused when we start doing spiritual business. Whose shit is this, mine or theirs? And then basically you open up to giving and receiving, which is what the decision is. The irony of this month is we always open up to giving and receiving when we make a decision, but today we're making a decision about giving and receiving. How ironic. So we have to open up to giving and receiving, open up to the possibilities, and when we open up to the possibilities, we're going to make a decision, which is an incision, a cut. See that 8? That 8 is a 0 cut in 2. Just like two cells split. This is the nature of consciousness. You must cut away what you don't want and focus on what you do. What you don't want will be independent and live on its own somewhere else. You don't necessarily deny it if it's a part of you, no problem, but it's not the part you're focusing on, right? And this is how we grow. So somewhere in your meditation, you find the final details of what you're looking for. When you do, you're ready to cut the cord. You're ready to cut it off and step away. Don't worry. You know, people say to me, you can't deny who you are. You can't cut things away. We're all one energy. You know, when you cut something away, you're going to find that back in heaven. You're going to be reunited with whatever you cut. Let's not be under illusion here. We all go back to the same mama papa store. So whatever you cut, you'll see it again. Don't worry. This is just fun in the sandbox. All right, so think about all of that, and I'll be right back after this.
One of the problems with love is we don't know ourselves well enough to know who we want. Introducing Secrets of Birthdays, the Love and Lust Report. You send us your date of birth, we send you a custom video, and we'll talk all about you. The kind of charisma you have, your personality, are you funny, not funny? What's a perfect romance? What's a perfect wedding? What's a perfect home? And what not to do with you. Find out the secret to your heart at secretsofbirthdays.com. End all the uncertainty. Order one now.
And here we are back at the Soulmart Trading Post, where you can pick up all sorts of items that include yours truly. For one, the Secrets of Birthdays Love and Lust Report is just $19.95. And let me tell you, gentlemen, if you want to impress your lady, ladies love this video. It tells you so much, and she'll want you to see yours too. But first, start by sending her one. It's very simple. $19.95. You give us your date of birth, and I edit together a custom video based on about 7 elements that I pull from your chart. So come on down. I have a free video if you want to know more about it. And watch your Megascope Monthly. These are very intense. This decision that you're making here in the next 24 hours or so over the weekend is a decision that may last for 30 years. I explain why in the Megascope Monthly. So if you have one, watch it. If you don't have one, come on down to Soulmart and get one. They're affordable. And if you join our email list, I'll send you an email for $3 off. You can use that on both your rising and your sun sign if you want. We also now graciously accept tips, and I want to say thank you to those who have actually given tips. You know, I used to be a waiter. I used to work for tips, so it's kind of a whole new thing now. I'm starting to feel like, oh, maybe I should start being a bit more corny now. And no, I'm just kidding. But I do appreciate thank you. And some people don't want to buy a product. They just want to support the cause. So if you do, come on down to soulmart.me for that. And someone asked on Friday in the comments of our show, what is a step? What is my step number? Everyone is born with a natural born step. This step might be 0 through 29. And this step boils down to how your consciousness naturally flows. And each day in the Namaste today, I go over the Sirius step of the day. Well, if you'd like to know about your Sirius step, seriously, I can do it in 15 minutes for just $39.95. You will be on webcam with me. It is recorded, and you will walk away understanding your natural born step, and you'll know always when you're out of step. That's the whole point of this. So let's now move on to today's gong. Today's gong is about climbing through the fog to the top of that mountain. So even when the fog clears, we know we are on top of our life. So as we are making a quiet commitment inside ourselves this weekend toward a direction that will likely change our life indeed, the important thing I think I want to throw out to you, and the gong moment I want to go ringing and ringing in your head, is this. What can you really live with? Most of us on the planet have been waking up. We've seen the cycles, we've seen the patterns. And at this point, you know, denial is not just a river in Egypt. Couldn't get that out too well. What can you really live with is the question, in my opinion. Can you really live with not being happy every day? Can you really live with your boss? Can you really live with skipping the opportunity to join the Peace Corps? You really want to live with that? This is not a time of making decisions on shoulds. Oh, I should do this, or I should pay off the mortgage, or I should. Don't should all over yourself. And with Saturn moving into Sagittarius, anything we think we should will be changing Christmas Eve. So don't should on yourself. Instead, ask yourself, ask your heart, what can you really live with? Really? And I'll tell you this, when you strike the right chord, which is giving and receiving of serious joy, you have no problem living with it. When you make the right decision, your heart will light up, and you're like, oh my God, well, if I could just do that every day, seriously, I mean, yeah, that's the path we're meant to take. So for those who are brave enough, really the step 25 intuition is, hey God, can I really do this? Does this work? And if you get a yep, then you need to commit with what you can really live with. When we make the right decisions, we can live with them. When we make the wrong decisions, can you really live with that? That's what I put out for the gong for today. But before you ask yourself that question, let's take a look at the modes of each of your brothers and sisters and where they're making their soul commitments this weekend. Starting with the Scorpios. Step 0 is the Scorpios, sunny and social through the weekend, emotionally sensitive to your environment, but you are committing to a fearless spirit. So you're not committing to the mortgage, you're not committing to the kids, you're not committing to the husband. You're committing to fearlessness this weekend. Step 1, the Leos, sunny and manifesting. You are committing to a mental story. That's what you're committing to. A new mental story, a new attitude. I had to go back to Scorpio and then back to Leos to make that work. There we go. New attitude. All right? So this might be, though, in your creative Leo imagination, a story. It's like, oh, the story was Damaged Princess. New story is insert blank. Step 2, the Cancers, sunny and pensive or chatty through the weekend. You're committing to feeling great about everything. So ask yourself this. Will you feel great with that decision? Will you feel great with this decision? If you don't feel great about it, it's the wrong decision. It's so simple. You're the king or queen of feeling. So if you don't feel great about it, don't do it. Step 3, the Sages. Sunny and social through the weekend. Committing to a public role on Earth. That's what you're doing. You're committing to a public role on Earth. Like, I'm going to go do this. So it's kind of like when you were in kindergarten, the teacher's like, who wants to clean up the paint? And you're like, me! That's basically what you're doing right now. You're picking a new job. Step 4, the Aquarians. Sunny and private, withdrawn through the weekend. But you're committing to a genius life purpose. Oh my God, when I say genius, I mean in a Wile E. Coyote sort of way, which I'd put up here if I could get away with, but I can't. So it's like, for an Aquarius, it's got to be a super genius idea. But go ahead, it is super genius. That's what you're here to do. You know that. Step 5, the Geminis, sunny, nesting, and resting through the weekend. You are committing to a heart's desire. Whatever it is, you got to commit to it. So you're really committing to your heart. Your heart's like, I want to go to Mars. It's like, all right. I'm committed to you, kid. Step 6, the Librans, sunny and spiritual. They are committing to a new charisma and or defense policy. So a whole new charisma. So you're going to see Libras do this. And show us who they really are. Step 7, the Pisces, sunny and sentimental. You're committing to personal transformation, which means also you're committing to intimacy. Let me tell you, you go get some sort of makeover, some sort of change your life, go from fat to thin or thin to muscular or whatever, it's intimate. You get to know yourself in a whole new way. Step 8, the Capricorns, sunny and learning through the weekend. You're committing to a career strategy and decision plan. But I always say, Capricorn, make a plan, but plan to change your plans. Step 9, the Aries, sunny and hyper aware of their mountaintop. You are committing to life partners and alliances through the weekend. This might be the bank you're choosing. This might be the mortgage lender. This might be employees. This might be you alone in a cubicle. But whatever it is, you're making that commitment, and that's the beginning of making it happen. Step 10, the Tauruses, yours truly, sunny and childlike. Can you tell? It's time to commit to a work and lifestyle. And that's true. Commit to a work and lifestyle. I've been working on my work lifestyle, and it's working out. I'm actually starting to finally hit smooth pasture. Not too much bullshit in the way. And that brings us to step 11, the Virgos. Sunny and cool with the moon in their sign this weekend. They'll be out and about doing what they do. Time to commit to manifesting abundance and more. All right, abundance and more. So you are committing to abundance, which means, what does that mean for a Virgo? That means that when you can nitpick on one tiny detail, no, put it down. Abundance. Abundance. Put down the small things in lieu for abundance, where things can just start multiplying. All right. And that brings us now to the Light Walker Parade. Let's see what the light is walking this weekend for you. Well, we're going to review this weekend with Venus Prime Health. If you didn't see episodes 10 and 9, we're doing the top 10 healthy weight loss supplements. So it's not too late to catch up and watch both of these little webisodes. Damon knows his stuff, and he'll help you weight loss through supplements. We also released Urban Mystic this week, Mastering Ourselves. And if you haven't watched this one, you definitely want to roll that back. Oh, let's do this again. Nicole Kidman, bing. Nicole Ullman, I don't know why I said Kidman. Nicole Ullman was my beloved and wonderful guest. And when Mercury was in retrograde, we were talking about ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is a sacred plant that gives you sort of a tripped out journey. She's going to tell you about it. It's actually from South America. And she also talks about her spiritual adventures with Amma in India. So Nicole is one of my favorite. And I also love Nicole Kidman as well. I'm not in a Mercury retrograde brain fart. But come watch her. If you haven't seen Nicole, she's fantabulous. She actually did a lot. She gets a lot of credit for healing my heart, if you want to know the truth. Now, Modern Mommies, we did a great episode this week, too. We were talking about the Slender Man stabbings. And there's a special guest that pops in the episode. I won't say who. But in this, we're talking about this video game stabbing where these two girls stabbed each other out in the middle of the woods based on a video game. Are you shifting me? Yes, indeed, that apparently happened. But we also talk about behavioral problems with kids and having, aggressive kids? And do video games lead to the aggression? It's a valid question, folks, and we're only getting more technical. Check it out on Modern Mommies, also at soulgarden.tv. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, please be kind and do subscribe. It helps us with our YouTube politics. And you can be our Facebook friend. Come to soulgarden.me and you can like us there. And if you come to soulmart.me, well then, you ought to know you can join our email list and I will email you coupons and goodies through the night, like elves making shoes. But the really greatest thing you can do is to share us with your friends and family. If someone comes up, if you know that this would make someone smile on a given day, put it out there, put it on their Facebook, put it on their Twitter, whatever. Do what you do and spread the light. I do appreciate you and thank you in advance for that. Now, this brings us to 2 serious songs or joyful songs for the weekend. I'm going to give you 2. Now, the first has to do with step 25, actually. And I wanted to pick a musician who emulated that mastery of emotions and thoughts coming together. Step 25, the mastery of feelings. And as you know, step 25 is all about our higher self, about seeing how high we can see things and connecting to our greatest good. So that said, Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg is a step 25 Libra. Does it not make sense? He's just mindful of his feelings. And I think Snoop Dogg would have been walking around like high, quote, quote, before marijuana, before he was found that magical fruit. But Young, Wild, and Free is one of my favorite songs, and it literally is, to some degree, I think, the vibration of Step 25. Even though this song is talking about whatever, it's taking you to Step 25, and really, I think Snoop Dogg, that's what he does. He brings you to Step 25, man, where your feelings and your thoughts are going along like a reggae song, right? Totally awesome. And then for Sunday's decision, because a lot of people are making decisions about committing, and what you're really making a decision about is committing to yourself. So I bring Chrissy Hind in here, who is a step 13 Virgo, radical Virgo. But the song, I'll Stand By You. When you hear this song, think about standing by yourself. That's what I'm saying. Think about standing by yourself and whether or not you will stand by you. All right, my friends, that's all I have for this weekend. Namaste. Thank you for your patience with me with the technical issues and whatnot. I will see you on Monday with more. Meditate and commit your heart out. We got lots coming up, including a solar eclipse this week. Have a great weekend and live, love, be.
This is just so ironic.